I just completed these barbecue chicken sandwiches, and you are gonna now make them too because they're so delicious. It starts with barbecue chicken. We're gonna make the barbecue sauce. We're gonna make a coleslaw. We're gonna layer each one on so you feel confident and comfortable in making the exact same sandwich. So from my Ira farmhouse to your kitchen, let's make these sandwiches because you're gonna wanna eat them. We are gonna make every component of this barbecue chicken sandwich, from the barbecue sauce to marinating the chicken and to the coleslaw on top. Now, honestly, that sounds like a lot. You can always, anytime, do an interchangeable. So if you want to do bottled barbecue sauce, go ahead and do it. If you want to do a pre-mixed bag of coleslaw, do it. Do whatever works for you, but honestly, each of these components is pretty easy to do, and it's really fun to make your own. So to start, we're talking about chicken. And I have chicken breast, which can sometimes be, as you can see, really large. So what I'm gonna do is, this on a sandwich would just not be the best. It'd be way too big, way too thick. So what we're gonna start by doing is cutting it in half. I'm gonna cut it in half so you have 2 pieces, and then I'm gonna put them into a bag. And in this bag, I'm going to just pound them out slightly so they have somewhat more of an even plane all the way across. So when we go to grill these, they grill more evenly. Now we put them in the bag because it contains the mess, which you can see here. And it doesn't take too long, just a couple pounds, and you can see, look at that. They're much more easy and even, and that's what we want. So we're gonna take them out of the bag. It's just a nice way to have it be more easy to eat, nicer on a bun, and just easier to grill too, which is nice. So we have our pieces. We can put that away later. My hand is still dirty from the chicken. So what I have is everything ready to go for my spice rub, my dry rub, so I don't have to get my hands dirty on any other utensils. So in here I have smoked paprika, which gives you that barbecue smoky flavor, black pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, a little bit of cayenne, and some kosher salt. Now that's gonna be my dry rub for all this. So the dry rub, what it does is, instead of wet brining or putting the chicken in a brine to help them be moist and flavorful, we're gonna do it with just this dry rub. And that to me is the best thing. So since my hands were already dirty, I'm using them to mix this up. And you can see it already has such a great dry rub color to it. It's gonna have more of that flavor of a barbecue chicken before we even do a barbecue sauce. That's the best part. So now you just wanna sprinkle this all over. And I mean all over. It has a good amount of salt because you really wanna season these. And since we pounded them out, really, it makes it so they go pretty quickly, which is great too. But this is really the first part of making sure that we're gonna have really flavorful chicken sandwiches, which is important. So I'm gonna do all parts of these. I'm gonna wash my hands, then put this in the fridge. We'll let it marinate and we'll make our barbecue sauce. While that chicken is marinating, it's a great time to get our barbecue sauce ready. We could even maybe get the dressing ready for our coleslaw. And really, it's really simple. So I have onion and I have some garlic, and I'm just finishing chopping the garlic. And we're gonna put these in some oil that's been heating on the stove. So when you make a barbecue sauce at home, you can kind of customize it to whatever you want. This is more of a sweet barbecue sauce, which I think works really well with this chicken, but you can adjust it. And that's what's great about making these things at home. You don't think you can make barbecue sauce because we're so used to buying ones we like, but you can, and that's the beauty of it. So we're gonna put this in the oil, we're gonna let this saute until they're softened, and then we'll just add the rest of the components. The onions are softening and just beginning to turn a little bit translucent, almost a little bit of color on them. So I'm gonna add in the salt, and then we can start adding in the tomato paste. Now, tomato paste to me is super important when it comes to a barbecue sauce, and you want it to be kind of get richer. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna cook it until it deepens in color and it gets a little bit richer. And this is gonna add a sweetness for one, but also it's going to really add this flavor that is this depth, umami have you, and it will really just begin to coat and make this beautiful undertone in the sauce. So just a couple minutes and you can see what happens down here. It starts to coat the bottom of the pan, that tomato paste. That's how you know it's really starting to cook and it deepens in color. I love that. So now we can add in a little bit of apple cider vinegar. You need that to really temper out all the flavors, and that will start breaking up that fond that's on the bottom of the pan from the tomato paste. We're also gonna add in some molasses. You need the sweetness. This is how you get that depth of sweetness that has more flavor too, and I think that's what's really important here. Molasses isn't just sweet. You could do brown sugar, but then you wouldn't get these beautiful notes from the molasses. We're gonna add in, of course, some ketchup. That's super important. I always try to buy a sugar-free ketchup. I'm adding my sugar through molasses. I'm adding it in other ways. I don't like to use a ketchup that has lots of sugar added to it too. And then a little bit of yellow mustard. And yes, that's essential. You want to put that in there and you're going to mix that around. And we're just going to let this simmer now, very slowly, very low. And this can be simmering the whole time until we start using it on the chicken. The sauce is simmering. The chicken's going to be grilled soon, but let's quick make the coleslaw dressing. Now this is my favorite. This is one I have made. I've posted it before because it's so good. It's so easy. And it's what I grew up using only on coleslaw, but it works really well with something like a sweet barbecue sauce because it has a nice sweet vinegar type flavor. So we're starting with oil and I have it right in there and we're going to cut that with some apple cider vinegar. You can use white distilled vinegar, apple cider vinegar, really either one is going to work in this case. And then with that, I want to also make sure I put in, let me get a little spatula so I can get it all out, but a little bit of mustard. So this is Dijon mustard. You can do dry mustard too. Growing up, we always did dried mustard, and I sometimes though just like it with Dijon mustard. We're also going to do some honey. Now, growing up, this had a lot of sugar in it, and I have now changed it, and I do honey, and I do just enough so it sweetens it, but doesn't overpower. And I really like that beautiful kind of just slight sweetness with the tanginess. It has some celery seed. If you're adverse to celery seed, leave it out. But I really like the flavor it adds. I hear my barbecue sauce, I'm just gonna turn it down a little bit. You know that sound when you're in the kitchen, you know certain things and how they're cooking. We're gonna add in some salt. That's gonna balance everything out, bring out more flavor. But then the key kind of unique ingredient is onion. And it is going to emulsify into this dressing. And I am just rough chopping it. And there's a good amount of the onion that goes in there. And what it does is it makes it look, when you're done, like it's a creamy dressing, but it's not. It's just emulsified onion with that oil, and that's what I love about this. No dairy in it at all, but you get all that flavor. So I'm just gonna use an immersion blender. You can use a canister blender too, until it's smooth. So once you're done mixing, see how it looks creamy? And there's no cream or anything in it. I love it. This is, to me, I keep this in the fridge. Obviously, it makes a lot of dressing. Just keep it in your fridge. Use it on coleslaw as you wish, whenever you want to make it. For this, we just need enough to go on each sandwich. I actually just went out to the garden and pulled out a cabbage just for this. It's a massive one, but fresh cabbage, there is nothing like it. I think it's gorgeous. I think it tastes beautiful. It's crisp. Now, I use, I think, what's called an old kraut cutter. This is how I like to shred my cabbage. It's kind of like a mandolin, so you need to be careful, but it gives you a nice fine shred, and I like that. This is, to me, the only way to make coleslaw, is if you have one of these. I grew up using it, and I still love it. So all you need to do is enough to make these sandwiches, which, like I said, is obviously going to give you more dressing than you need. But see how nice and fine that is? I like that, because then I think it really grabs onto the dressing better and really coats into it. So what I'm going to do is just make sure I kind of add to taste the amount of dressing I want. You want to make sure you notice it and taste it, but make sure you mix it in too, so you can see how much you're going to need. But this is the beauty of it. You can make these components before, and now all we're going to need to do is grill that chicken, which won't take long. It's been marinated, so it has lots of flavor. So let's go out and grill it, and then we're gonna start basting it when it's done with the barbecue sauce. After the chicken has marinated, heat the grill on high for about 15 minutes. Turn the grill to medium high, and then place the chicken right on the grates. Cook the chicken for about 4 to 6 minutes on the first side, flip them over, and then start basting with the barbecue sauce. Flip them over one more time and baste the second side with the barbecue sauce, and let them grill until they reach 160 degrees Fahrenheit. The chicken is finished grilling, and you can see it has that sticky, beautiful sauce on top. I like to do a good coat of that outside on the grill, but then it still has enough left over that you can serve it with it. You can keep the leftovers, whatever you want. It's a nice, thick, beautiful barbecue sauce, so to me, it's one of those perfect ones. So to assemble the sandwich, all we do is take whatever favorite bun you have, take a piece of the chicken right on top, and this is where, if you want to, you can put a little bit extra, which I always kind of want to. I'm a sauce person. If there's a sauce, I'm gonna take as much of it as I can and like to drench anything in it. And then I'm gonna put on the coleslaw, which is one of my favorites. I've been picking at it because I love coleslaw, and I especially love this coleslaw, which you can see is just a perfect component, and it's gonna have that nice bite with kind of that briny flavor. And then you can just start and you can serve these. This is this not summer ready? I don't know, this is always one of my favorite things. It's good. I wouldn't have made this if it wasn't. What I love about it is you get tender chicken that has a lot of flavor. That dry brine is super important. I probably have it all over me now, but that dry brine is super important in making sure that you get flavor and keep the chicken moist. That's important. But then you get the sauce all around it, which just adds another layer of flavor. You get the crunchy, crispy coleslaw that has that sweet vinegar type flavor. That is needed to really cut through the richness of the barbecue sauce. Friends, this is good. And it's something you're gonna wanna make because it really is the taste and the flavor of summer. And if you don't have a grill outside, use indoor grill pan. You can do that. You could even use a skillet if you need to. These same flavors and components are gonna work even if you don't have a grill. And all these layers are gonna make you just as happy as they are me. So what do I hope you do with this video? As always, I hope you share it around because if you liked it, someone else might too and might gain inspiration and excitement for making something at home, homemade, from scratch, all these components, or just pick and choose the ones you want to make on your own. Check my website, wiseguy.com, for this recipe and all my other recipes. They're all on there. And until next time, make something delicious, have people over, share food. That's the point in bringing us together.